welcome into Boneyard Gaming, and what a big week this is. It is expansion day, ladies and gentlemen. Big day for us in the Gwent community. The Way of the Witcher has officially dropped. It's about 6 in the morning for me. We're waking up and excited to open up all the goodies that we've got. Patch notes are out. All the cards have been revealed through the Masters tournament. Congratulations, by the way, to Pajabal to knocking the win out. Much deserved. Brought Nilfgaard, played decks that people thought may not have been the strongest, and he played fantastic. It was super exciting to watch him win. With the expansion dropping this week, actually Cyberpunk's dropping this week as well. There's a lot going on. The channel is going to stay focused on Gwent. Cyberpunk we will get to as a Let's Play eventually on stream, but we're going to wait for a couple patches and some bugs to get patched before we enjoy our playthrough. So we're gonna hang tight, probably not start Cyberpunk till probably the new year. Really want to spend December enjoying Way of the Witcher. So without further ado, let's jump into the cards, let's jump into the patch notes, and see what everybody thinks. So here we are. Here's all the cards. They've all been revealed and turned over, and scrolling down through neutrals, monsters, Nilfgaard, Northern Realms, Scoia'tael, Skellige, and Syndicate. And before we jump in, let's just take a moment to say Gwent continues to raise the bar on card art. Plain and simple, this game is gorgeous to play. It is fantastic. The artists at CDPR do top tier work. They continue to go above and beyond their own standards and outdo themselves with how gorgeous the cards are. And I mean, again, they're only really competing with themselves at this point, because no other CCG comes close, and Way of the Witcher is no exception. So without further ado, let's dive in. So if it's a zero provision card, it's going to be a token, or it's going to be a card that another card grabs and you can't actually put in your deck builder. So that is going to be the Witcher Student, which is a token. It'll be spawned by playing other cards. Certain actions will put one of these on the board for you as kind of an added bonus. So Witcher Student is the first neutral card. Let's see. So this is selective mutation. So obviously they're putting the cat eyes in there. And that's going to be draw a card with adrenaline of your choice. Then shuffle back a card from your hand to your deck. Spawn a Witcher Student on each allied row. So the new game mechanic here is going to be adrenaline. And we'll see in the patch notes later they've added some adrenaline tag to some existing cards. So quickly, what is adrenaline? Adrenaline has to do with the cards in your hand. So if a card says adrenaline 4, you have to have at least 4 cards in your hand to activate it. 4 or less, we should say. So technically, the card that has adrenaline 4, you could play as the 5th card in your hand, so that when that card's on the board, you have the adrenaline number in your hand. So that can create a little bit of confusion at the beginning, but they Play Gwent put a video out. It's basically explaining, if the tag number is that, it could be that or less, and then essentially that you could play with, say the number was 4, you could play it as your 5th card with 4 card still in your hand and it would tag. So interesting to see how that works. It'll be fun to, you know, add a new mechanic that we'll all get to enjoy. So moving on, we've got Maxie Van Decker, and her deploy is a look at your deck in order from top to bottom. You may shuffle your deck, then put a card on the bottom of it. So, you know, it's interesting, even in the patch notes, there were a couple cards that would let you look at your deck, and unknowingly, if you were aware, I wasn't, but it would actually show your card in the order of how your deck's stacked, so you could actually know how your mulligans were going to work. They've since fixed that patch. We'll talk about that more in the patch notes, but it'll be interesting to see how this card works when looking at your deck. Be an interesting card. So Brengar, at the end of your turn, destroy this card if it's the only Witcher on this row. So it looks like you can't play him as your first Witcher. So at the end of your turn, destroy this card if it's the only Witcher in the row. But he's a 9 for 6, which is certainly nice. You know, minor condition. Leo here, boost self by 1 for every Witcher you control. Pretty cool piece there. That if you want to play a Witcher deck, certainly have added value. So then we got Triangle within a triangle. This is a spell. So boost an ally by its provision cost or damage an enemy by its provision cost. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. You know, I will say when you're in Gwent and you click on a card, not just highlight it, like highlighting over it, when you actually click on it, it'll give you the provision cost of it. So that might, you have to pay more attention of remembering provision costs more than just being in the deck builder. So obviously you've got the non-premium character from Journey, who is Snowdrop. She's a Zeal card with order. Draw 2 cards, then shuffle 2 cards back into your deck. Whenever you draw a card, boost self by 2. So I wonder, this looks like it might work in the Skellige discard scenario. Interesting card there. So you've got Idron of Velvio, Human Mage Mutant. First time you spawn a unit each turn, spawn a 1 power copy of it on this row and give it Doom. First time you spawn a unit each turn, spawn a 1 power copy of it on this row. Interesting. You know, it's hard to know how cards will combo. It looks like initially it's a Kathir or something like that. That's crazy. Interesting to see how that combos. So Cassimo here transfers adjacent units into random units that are cost 1 provision more. Bit of an RNG based card. Provisions look a bit too high at the beginning, because just because it's higher provision doesn't mean it's always higher points, but it could shape out that way. But you'd have to at least gain, I feel like, 4 provision, 4 more points to gain provision. An interesting card. Not super big fan. So all signs have made it into the game, and obviously what's a Witcher expansion without Geralt? So we've got Geralt, Quinn, Shield. Play a Witcher card from your deck. So Adrenaline 3. So again, if it's the 4th card, you pop it in there, it'll give it a shield. So pretty cool there. So on to Alzur. So Alzur's the card that they dropped with the expansion reveal season. So we got him right away. We're all pretty familiar with Alzur right now, but whenever you play a spell, spawn a random unit with the same provision costs on this row. That comes with 3. We've seen that one in action. I suspect Alzur could be a little bit like Master Mir, with all things said and done, but he did get brought to Masters, so who knows. Good deck builders can do things with any card. So on to monsters. You've got the hybrid beast mutant. Whenever you consume one or more units, boost self by 1. So that'd be interesting. We're really curious right now. Is like a Glusty. Does this work? If is it 1? No matter how many units you consume per turn, it boosts itself by 1. Or if you Glusty 5 cards, would this boost by 5? Very interesting. I feel like for the provision cost, no matter how many cards you consume, it would only boost itself by 1 per turn. But that remains to be seen. That's what playing the expansion is all about. So spontaneous evolution, which is an organic here, is going to boost an allied unit by 4, gain an additional effect based on the unit's category. So if it's an insectoid, it'll spawn 3 drones and boost the unit's row. Beast boost a unit by 8 instead, and then an Ogroid give all of them in your hand 2 armor. It's pretty cool there. So the Puka here, it's a Veil and a Thrive. Not too many Thrive cards, I feel like, in this set. Units played by your opponent trigger this units to thrive. So really, look, monsters go tall anyways. I don't see that being a huge deal, because for the most part, once a card hits a certain number, you're not really worried about your opponent's procs, and you really only need your big tall cards. Interesting to see how that one plays up. So Succubus has been an interesting one. Obviously, there's a couple different cards to be able to copy her, but you'll want to have as many copies of the Succubus in your deck, because at the end of your turn, summon a different copy of a Succubus from your graveyard to a random row and give it Doom. So something maybe if you have like Caretaker, and then once it hits Adrenaline 3, it won't be giving Doomed anymore. So you could, like I said, a low budget Ruin, it looks like that one is. So the Chimera here, on deploy, it'll consume an allied unit. Adrenaline 4, boost all copies of a consumed units in that row, in that unit's row by 1. So interesting. Certainly will work with the tokens. Interesting play there. I do think this card's going to find good value, honestly, especially for 5 as is. So here's our Were-Rat Beast. God, this card's crazy. Okay, reset this unit's power. Reset this unit's power and spawn a number of rats in this row equal to the amount of boost it lost. Cooldown 1. At the end of your turn, consume a unit on the right. So it looks like it'll always spawn a rat, and you can just keep recycling that. This card, very interesting. Looks like it has synergy with itself. Again, going to be interested to see how this combos with other cards and plays out, but looks good. So either here, let's see, Adrenaline 3. So consume all tokens on this row and gain immunity. Whenever you consume 1 or more units, spawn a drone in this row. So look at this already. These two look like they kind of combo here. Doldulok is it's gonna have resilience. So this is the location card that every faction looks like it's getting. Spawn and play a Succubus, a Puka, Chimera, or Hybrid. So it's going to play basically all of your bronze cards for the most part. Or I should say, it looks like your 5 provision bronze. Move the highest power unit to the top of your deck and spawn a drone on both sides of this card. So it looks like, if you're playing Thrive and you didn't get your big boy, that one might help out. So Koshki here, Thrive. Whenever this unit's Thrive is triggered, spawn a drone in this row. Adrenaline 4, whenever this unit's Thrive is triggered, spawn an Adrega larva in this row. So this card looks very powerful. Again, within the expansion, some cards might be broken. We certainly saw that in Master Mirror. This is the card I think a lot of people were like, ooh, this might be broken. It looks good, looks powerful. But again, we need at least 2 weeks right now to see what's broken, what is, you know, needing adjustment already. And I mean, we'll see. So V here, shuffle V back into your deck and increase its base power by 3. So essentially, again, this is like another rune type deal, except you will have to tutor it back out of your deck and it'll boost up. So, you know, like I said, with Whispering Hillcock, Decree, or Neuromancy, several ways to get this. So interesting card there, but it's a big provision cost, especially if it gets heat waved. So, all right, moving on to Nilfgaard. So you've got your Viper, Witcher, Depth. So I'm gonna say this: the naming of the card's gonna get a little bit tricky to kind of remember the difference. At the end of each turn, boost self by 1 if the opponent has more cards in the deck than you. So then you're gonna see coded weapons here: tactic, damage an enemy unit by 5, death blow, banish it, and spawn a copy of it on top of your opponent's deck. Interesting. So you got Viper Witcher here, which obviously has been renamed from what they now call the Kingslayer card. Give bleeding 2 to an enemy unit, adrenaline 6, spawn a copy of that unit at the top of your opponent's deck. So a lot of control at the top of opponent's deck. So Viper Witcher Alchemist here, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Put 1 on the top, then swap top card of your opponent's deck with yours, especially if you can control what's on their deck. So, you know, right there, you know, maybe you pick a bad card because you want them to have bad mulligans, or you pick a good card because you want to use the Viper Witcher Alchemist. Interesting piece here. So then Viper Witcher Mentor, set power of this card's to match provisions cost of the top card in your opponent's deck. Adrenaline 2, set power of this card to match provision cost to the highest cost card in an opponent's deck instead. So a lot of control there. Very interesting piece. Let's see. Wear it, the all-seeing. Put the highest cost card in your opponent's deck on the top of it. Deploy range, put the lowest cost card of your opponent's deck on top of it. So again, a lot of control with your opponent's deck here. Instead of milling it, you're just controlling the cards in it to a certain extent here. So Kilgrim here, adrenaline 2 at the end of your turn, boost self by the difference between number of cards in player's deck. So interesting. Again, if you have milled them down, this could be a big finisher, it looks like. So their location card is Gathur God, I want to say Guad. Resilience, deploy, spawn and play, Viper Witcher Depth, Viper Witcher Mentor, Alchemist. A lot of Viper Witchers tags. Move a unit from your opponent's graveyard to the top of their deck. Again, just super big control. So this is an interesting card. A lot of one that I thought caused confusion. I'll try to go over it really quickly. At the end of the round, put this card to your opponent's graveyard. At the end of your turn, well in graveyard, banish the lowest cost card from it. If the Viper Witcher's only card in your graveyard, give it Doom and summon it to the opponent's random row. Here's the deal. If it survives the round, it goes into your opponent's graveyard. It eats all of your opponent's cards. When it's the only card left in your opponent's graveyard, it comes back to your row. Likewise, if your opponent killed the card, it goes into your graveyard. It'll eat all of your low provision cards and then go back onto your opponent's row. So this card could work against you. That's the big thing to notice. The wording seemed a little bit confusion, but through the reveal season, that looks to be the way it got cleared up. We'll see how that card plays out. So Ivar here, spawn this unit's power with an enemy unit's adrenaline 2, damage an enemy unit by 4 instead. So adrenaline, this is the interesting piece. Adrenaline can actually be used as a negative ability as well. So you want to play your card before it hits the adrenaline. So that's interesting. I love how the adrenaline command can be used as a positive or a negative. All right, so on to NR here. So target practice, boost an ally unit by 4 if there is a Witcher on the boosted units row. Also spawn a Witcher student on this row. So again, more tokens popping up with this one, but that is a warfare card. So Griffin Witchers, so that's would be the NR's ability. Witchers, this would be the Griffins. Order transform an allied Witcher into a base copy of Griffin Witcher Adept. So looks like you could transfer a token into a Griffin Witcher. And then I wonder if that Griffin Witcher gets the Zeal as well. Is it, you know, more of those cost-turning cards. All right, so Griffin Witcher Ranger here. Boost self by 1 for every unit on the opposite row. Order transfer all boosts from self to an allied unit. So that's kind of interesting. You know, you could put that card out, gain boost. And then you could move the boost to a card you want to protect. I really like this card. So the Griffin Witcher here, damage an enemy unit by 1 on melee. Adrenaline 3, at the end of your turn, damage a random enemy unit by 3 and lock itself. So it looks like if you play this card first on the round, it'll work all the way until you hit 3 cards left in your deck. Look at the synergy in these cards here. There he is on the ground. There he is in the tree. Pretty cool. So on the mentor side, draw the top unit, then shuffle the card from your hand back into your deck. Boost the unit you've drawn by 2. So, you know, like I said, it kind of reminds me of the Skellige discard system a little bit. Chance to, you know, ability to flip your draws a little bit. Interesting. So Cohen here, boost all other units with power equal to Cohen's power by the amount Cohen is boosted. Interesting to see how that one works. Looks like there's some blue stripe synergy there. Interesting card. A lot to get through, so I'm going to keep rolling. Keldar here, spawn a Witcher student on this row. Adrenaline 4. At the end of your turn, spawn a Witcher student on this row. So, looks like he has just a kind of a way to put tokens on the board there for you. Interesting piece. So our area or place card, if you want to call it that, resilience, spawn and play Griffin Witcher Adept, Griffin Witcher, Mentor, Ranger, boost a unit in your deck by 3. So, nice card. Not OP, but certainly nice. I do like how all the different factions look like they're getting, you know, monster-looking cards that are tied to the faction. You know, we saw Viper and Nilfgaard. Interesting. So the Arch Griffin here, at the end of the round, shuffle this card back to your deck, keeping its boost. Very interesting card. Obviously Heat Wave, I just from looking at the cards already, Heat Wave isn't going anywhere in this meta in my mind. So Erland of Larvik here, boost all units in your deck by 1. 3 also gain, it's Adrenaline 3, also gain immunity, and then on the order, remove the boost from all units in your deck, then boost this unit by the same amount. Interesting. I mean, you know, depending on your deck, if you, like I said, if you played this like in a long round 3, it still probably would boost itself by quite a bit. I'm not sure how much units you usually have in your deck by that time. If you thin really well, you can thin down. So interesting to see how that'll work. So on to Scoia'tael here. They've got making a bomb here. Move an enemy unit to the other row. Give it bleeding 4. If it's the only unit on that row, damage it by 4 instead. So they got the Cat Witcher here. the adept is melee. Give an enemy unit bleeding with duration equal to the number of units on that unit's row, and then range you can give it vitality, same proc. So on the mentor side here, boost self by the number of cards on this row, and then adrenaline 4 whenever a card appears in this row. Boost self by 4. So again, you can play that early, but once adrenaline... So I'm assuming adrenaline 4 doesn't work with just cards in your hand. It's going to work with cards that are already on the board that are still alive. I believe they'll still work with adrenaline. Cat Witcher Saboteur, move an enemy unit to the leftmost position on its row, damage it by 1 for every card it passes. I love that card. I think there's a lot of cards that play wide. Certainly a good card there. Cat Witcher, at the end of your turn, move self to the other row and damage a random enemy on the opposite row by 1. Adrenaline 4, damage it by 2 instead. Alright, so Gatan here, move the other cards from this row to the other row. Damage a random enemy unit for each card moved by 1. So move the other cards from this row to the other row. And it's so interesting. I mean, it looks like, you know, if you're playing him late, but you want a row stack and then pop him down and move every card. Interesting. So Bren here is destroy the rightmost unit on the enemy row with at least 5 units. Adrenaline 3, destroy the rightmost unit on the enemy row with at least 3 units. So Adrenaline lowers his deploy condition. So their location is Striga Castle. Resilience deploy is going to spawn and play the Cat Witcher, the Adept, Mentor, Saboteur, move 3 allied units to the other row. So lots of movement, lots of row management, but you can certainly move your own cards all over the board here. So again, here's the Beast for Scoia'tael. It's going to be the Saber-Tooth Tiger. Interesting card. At the start of your turn, damage all enemy units that are alone on their row by 2, and then transform himself into Saber-Tooth Tiger. So this isn't a new card here. This is just one. It's a relic or a actual unit card. Transform himself into Saber-Tooth Tiger. So here's its other side. I think it looks like this. Think about this like Tenant Boar. You know, on one row it's doing one thing, so this card's just kind of flipping itself around. Let's see. So, Gurzos of Ladia. Okay, so melee, at the end of your turn, move self to the range row and boost a random allied unit on this row by 1. Range, at the end of your turn, move self to the melee row and damage an enemy unit on the opposite row by 1. Adrenaline 3, instead of a random unit, affect all other units on a row. Looks like a very powerful card. From what I hear, if you have bricked your row, this card still works. From what I'm very, this is one of the biggest cards I'm very interested to see in action. Because I feel like if you bricked a row and it can't actually move to the row, it shouldn't deploy its ability. But interesting to see how this one plays out. So, all right, on to Skellige. Almost done here. Trying to keep this to a half hour. We're trying to cruise through here. Bear Witcher, Adept. Damage self by 4. At the end of your turn, heal self by 1. Well, not damage, gain 1 armor instead. This is a freaking fantastic card at 4 provisions, especially with the self-wounding archetype. So interesting to see how this happens, especially, like I said, you gotta look at the synergy. There's cards that heal, so you could get that back up to 7 in no time. All right, so armor up here, damage an enemy unit by 2, spawn 3 Witcher students on the opposite row, damage them by 1, and then give them 1 armor. So again, you'll be able to heal them up in no time with some cards. So on the Bear Witcher Mentor, boost self by 1 for every damage allied unit. Adrenaline 3, boost self by 1 for every damage unit instead. So the Bear Witcher Quartermaster, damage an allied unit by 1, then spawn a Witcher student on this row, and he's got 2 charges. So the Bear Witcher, damage self by 3, and then Adrenaline 4, damage self and an enemy unit by 3 instead. So again, you know, pretty good card. You know, I think there's good ways to heal it back up. So Gerd here, spawn a Deafening Siren on the opposite row and damage all units on that row by 1. So then Adrenaline 4, spawn a Deafening Siren on that opposite row and damage it by 1 instead. So again, you got to play them before your Adrenaline kicks in, or you will lose value on Gerd. Interesting. So John of Blevin, destroy a damaged enemy unit. Whew. I like that card. That's going to have some value on some tall units. So all you're gonna, you can essentially, you know, with an order ability, do this. This won't even be counterable. You know, I wonder if it'll have to have order at some point. Because again, you could have a card with Zeal on the board, a warrior with Zeal on the board. When that Zeal comes in, drop him down and gone. So the unit card here is Hearn, Kadach, Resilience. If I'm slaughtering in these names, I apologize. Let's see. Spawn and play the Bear Witcher, Adept, Bear Witcher, the Mentor, and the Quartermaster. See, order, heal adjacent units by 3. So, you know, like I said, and then like I said, there's the leader ability that will heal anytime you play an alchemy card. So I think lots of value here. So the Dire Bear, so the beast for this card. So every faction looks like it got a location and a beast. So units on this and opposite row cannot be boosted. Now, the important thing to remember here is Gwent considers healing and boosting to be different mechanics. So you could still heal up your cards. They just can't go into green. So you've got white. It means they're at their deploy power. Red means they're hurt, and green means they're boosted. If they're red and they can heal back up till they're back to white, no big deal. But boosted means they can't go into green state. So this is an interesting card and not an easy one to remove. So again, probably though, Becker's Rock Slide isn't going anywhere in this meta either. So then Arngard here, gain 1 armor for every damaged unit. Adrenaline 4, when your opponent plays a unit, damage the unit by Arngard's power and damage Arngard by the... So it looks like you want to play him relatively early and it'd be finding a good combination, because you're going to want to have max damage so that he gains good armor, and then for those last bit of cards, you know, he doesn't end up killing himself. So again, these are tokens here, essentially, well, not tokens. Tokens actually go on the board. You know, since this is a special card, it's just procced by another card here. So we'll quickly go down to Stolen Mutagens, which is damage. What you basically, Stolen Mutagen means you pick a mutagen. The red one here, damage enemy unit by 4. Green is boost an allied unit by 4 and give it Veil. And then the blue is poison an allied unit and gain 5 coins. So very interesting there. So the Salamander Lackey here is at the end of your turn, if you've gained at least 1 coin this turn, boost self by 1. So we've stolen mutagens there. So the Salamandra Abomination, which is the beast here, tribute poison self. Whenever this unit is poisoned, boost self by 2, Adrenaline 4 at the end of your turn. Purify itself. So again, I look at this as kind of a negative purify. You'd have to keep poisoning this unit to get value. So you have to kind of keep reapplying that poison if you wanted it to keep boosting itself. You know, which in a meta where you don't want cards to go too tall, you know, it'd be interesting to see how that one plays. So the Salamander Mage here, tribute 4, damage 3 adjacent units by 2. Adrenaline 5, whenever you pay tribute, gain 1 coin. So again, I believe that on the board, you know, this card already played, you'll gain that 1 coin. So the failed experiment here, human mutant salamander. At the end of your turn, lose 1 coin if you have no coins. I'm sorry. At the end of your turn, lose 1 coin. If you have no coins, damage self by 1 instant. Well poison, disable this ability. So the self poison meta here for Syndicate is certainly in play. So this is Geller Belham, profit 2, fee 1 poison allied unit and boost itself by 2, and he's got a cooldown. So again, he's the synergy that those other cards need. So then Roland Blenheim, whenever a unit is poisoned, gain 2 coins. Adrenaline 5, whenever an allied unit is poisoned, gain 2 coins instead. So interesting. Whenever a unit is poisoned, gain 2 coins. Adrenaline 5, whenever an allied unit is poisoned, gain 2 coins instead. So you can use them to poison an enemy unit, or use the adrenaline mechanic to poison yourself, and then gain, if you want the coins. So the location, the salamander hideout. Resilience, spawn and play, a failed experiment, salamander, abomination, the mage or the lackey. Order, move a poison unit from an allied to another unit. So very interesting piece. It looks like it'll work a little bit like a morale. You'll be able to probably get a poison off in combination to another card. You know, and take it out. So tall removal right there, it looks like. Interesting. So the salamander, maybe you don't have to mess with it because you'll see on the salamander here. So profit 1, deploy poison a unit, tribute 9, poison all units on the battlefield instead, increasing the profit by 1 for every allied salamandra. So again, if you've got a bunch of cards poisoned, you know, think about that, all your poison cards in a long round, when you know you're going to play this and you got the deploy, you know, the profit, or you can get the tribute off, you could put morale, all your poison cards in, and just poison 1 individual unit. Or if you can combo this with a Sienna, you could literally wipe the board out. I want to see the clips. I want to see the clips of people wiping and getting into a long round 3 and just playing this as their final say and wiping the board clean. Interesting. It'll happen. So then the final card here is the Fallen Rayla, Human Mutant Salamandra, Profit 3, Tribute 3, Gain Veil, Adrenaline 3. Whenever you pay tribute, ability boost self by that tribute's cost. So, you know, certainly if you played that with Salamandra, which is a tribute 9, she will boost herself by 9. So interesting. So there you guys have it. We'll embark on the path with these new card sets. Super excited. Got a bunch of kegs to open, but before we do that, we will jump into the patch notes. All right, so patch notes, we are officially in the 8.0 meta. So Way of the Witcher is almost here, and with it, considerable amount of changes. As many of you guessed, some are centered around the Witcher tag, so that already existing cards interacting well with the Witchers are probably adjusted for the arrival of the new ones. Of course, aside from that, there are multiple balance changes to other cards, and you can read about them in detail below. Let's see, with the festive season already in full swing, we want to introduce a new feature of gifting. Okay, so you can gift things now. I think as a content creator, I think I'll enjoy gifting things as part of the streams. Like I said, if you don't know, I do stream on Twitch. Links are going to be in my socials tab in the description. But yeah, come by and we'll have some giveaways going away soon where we can gift some in-game stuff. So the changes here, let's see, new packages for draft mode. So we're going to see some draft mode updates, some packages reworked, certainly nice. So on the neutral side, Eskel, Vesemir, and Lambert, their power changed from 2 to 3, and their provisions dropped from 8 to 7. You know, it'll be still interesting to see, even in a full-on Witcher deck, if these guys have value. You know, again, there's Vesemir Mentor, which could get these from 3 to 4 in your hand or deck. So that's certainly interesting. And oh, you got the Adrenaline 4. So you have to wait. You can't play them early. You've got to wait till Adrenaline 4 to get all of the summoning ability. Which, you know, I think if you have in hand, that's probably all right, because you'd want a chance to get Vesemir Mentor off. Which he also faces Adrenaline as well. So, let's see. The comment, introduction of Adrenaline opens new possibilities for old cards. We've decided to rehabilitate the Witcher trio, but add Adrenaline condition to make it less flexible and force a commit in round 1. I wouldn't say it forces a commit in round 1. I mean, you can reach Adrenaline 4 in other rounds, but I mean, why would you not play those cards in round 1? They're a thinning package, but certainly makes sense. So, Vesemir Mentor ability change to, so deploy, boost all allied Witcher units on the battlefield by 1. Obviously, that's not great value, so you'd want to hit the Adrenaline mechanic. Also, boost your Witcher unit in hand and deck. So that's what makes him really, really big. With plethora of new targets for Vesemir Mentor, his overall value increased a lot. Similar with the Witcher trio we introduced Adrenaline. I think Vesemir is going to see play just normally. I mean, there's so much Witcher. I think you're going to be able to see Vesemir play. I'm not thrilled about Roach and Knickers. Provision cost dropping. Roach is from 10 to 9 and Knickers down from 9 to 10. I feel like that's a Lippy buff, and why are we buffing Lippy? But okay. Dandelion Poet provisions changed from 12 to 11. Yeah, you didn't. I mean, he was a dead card for the most part. So be interesting. The only time you ever saw a Dandelion was in the old arena. So let's see if he gets brought back. So Portal, I think this is an interesting change, and I like. I don't run Portal too much, so I face Portal more. But you know, think about Assimilate. You cannot drop your 4 provision assimilates right off the bat. You can drop 1 off the bat, and then let's see, after 3 turns, summon random 4 provision unit from your deck to the right of this card. So I do like to see that. I think that, you know, in the past, the strategy nerfing Portal was to nerf its target. This time, they'll experiment with something different by removing one of the Portal's most impressive feature, the ability to immediately put 2 engines on the board, which I completely agree. This brings Portal down to 1 provision, and most importantly, real play. So I do like the drop in provisions as well. So the Wingenberg now has a siege engine category, which that really only synergizes with Northern Realms, which as the Northern Realms main, I'm happy to see. So on the monster side here, Haunt provision changed from 13 to 14. Look, right now everyone's saying, oh yeah, Haunt's the strongest. I wouldn't say Haunt was the strongest scenario in the meta. It just was the most viable. It just made the most sense in the deck. And so you know, overwhelming hunger, it saw overwhelming play. You know, so hopefully this will help temper overwhelming hunger down a little bit. So the Vran Warrior now has 1 armor. Ooh, my favorite song. So old spear tip here, provision change from 13 to 12. So, well, this is a buff to old spear tip. Let's not forget it's a nerf to Alzur. Because if he's 13 provisions, old spear tip was something that you could get from Oneiromancy and Alzur. So that's exactly what they're trying to do. There's no 12 provision spell. So that way you can't see old spear tip with Alzur, which I think is fair. I mean, that would be so powerful. So Imarith, ability to change. deploy melee, draw a card, then discard a card. If discarded card was a unit, boost self by its power. New month, new emerald. So even the devs are acknowledging that, man, this card just can't find an ability that they love to stick with. We are adjusting emerald to have better synergy with the Way of the Witcher cards, such as Dol Dulac, which, all right, you know, I'm fine with that. So on the Skellige side here, the Brovkar Hunter provision changed from 5 to 4. On crate Blacksmith now has 1 armor, which makes sense. The Blacksmith would have an armor, but you know, I think Blacksmith will see more play. He kind of fell out of the meta towards the end there, but I think, was he a 5 power, so that might make him a 6. I don't know if I like that. Northern Realms, so the Vernon Roach provision changed from 12 to 11. So this there was some confusion on this. This is not Vernon Roach Merciless, the card that spawns the blue stripes. This is Vernon Roach, you know, by himself. That's the card that you play on the other side of the card board that allows you to play 2 random cards from your deck. So that I know there's some confusion there. Since he is random, I think dropping his provision was certainly nice. Unless you could get him off with Sienna, where you could get 4 cards out. Vernon Roach, just, you know, it's too high provisions. So the Lyrian Cavalry provision changed from 5 to 4. So on the Scoia'tael side here, Elven Sword Master provision changed from 5 to 4. The Dwarven Chariot now has a Siege Engine category, which again, I really only see Siege Engines vying with NR and NR Scenario or Bombardment, but interesting. So the much hotly anticipated Nilfgaard, well, are these all buffs? Are these nerfs? What are they? We'll be interested to see how they work. I heard people kind of complaining about them, but you know, you're just never going to make some people happen. I think overall, from what I've seen, these look pretty decent. The coup de grace provision changed from 10 to 9, and the damage dealt increased from 2 to 3. Think about this though. Coup de grace will replay any spying unit or any unit that it gives a death blow to. So like Beast, or you know, a good card that you want on your side. So that 3 damage in my mind has value there. That's a, you know, it allows you more replayability on enemy opponent cards that aren't spying. I think that's really, really good. And it was the worst Echo card. It was the only Echo card that needed heavy synergization with, you know, limited amount of cards. So I'm actually happy to see that. So Afan here, his provision changed from 9 to 8. Obviously, I think that's a good play. You know, he's such a conditional card, and he's got, you know, brick abilities that could hamper that. So I do like him coming down. So Baratheon's, his power changed from 3 to 4, so he got a power, you know, one power boost. His provisions was dropped from 11 to 10. Here's the big piece though. He is only going to create the bronze. So you used to get 3 the 3 bronze disloyal packages from him. Now you are only going to get the disloyal units that are in your starting deck. So you know, a lot of them, the boosty disloyal unit, people don't carry that in their deck very often, so you won't get that card anymore. Which I do kind of like that. If they're going to spawn cards, it needs to be a random ability, and like a Triss type thing. And there's nothing random about Baratheon. So if it's going to control, if he's going to be controlled, it should be about the cards that are in your deck. I like this. To make it so, we're adding the deck building condition that shouldn't be a problem for archetypes mentioned, but other archetypes can still run them if the player is willing to adjust their deck at the same time. Or improving the stats. Yep. So Emissary boosted an allied unit increase from 6 to 7. Well, that was what I was talking about. Emissary. Maybe now that he does boost up, he does get run more. That 7 boost is certainly nice. A Sire. So the provision changed from 8 to 7. So look, again, putting cards back into your deck has got that much easier. So the Sergeant here, his provisions changed from 5 to 4. Master of Disguise, power change from 3 to 4. Okay, certainly. The Viper Witcher, you know, that was the name change from the Kingslayer. Fire Scorpion now has 1 armor. Let's see. The Armored Cavalry, power change from 4 to 5. The armor change, well, they added armor. Okay, fair enough. The Imperial Forces now have Zeal. Let's see. You know, I wish Gwent 1 had their patch notes up. They actually show the old card versus the new card, and it's just certainly the best way to look at this. Game fixes. Azire now reveals the picked card before putting it back in your deck. Let's see. Azire now reveals the picked card before putting it. Oh, okay. It tells your opponent what card they put back in. I like that. Because you usually had to watch their graveyard. Quality of life change. This removes the needed to check the graveyard. No, yeah, I like this. It should be shared. It should be secret what card was put in there. Myrna's tooltip now correctly mentions the target is picked randomly. Amphibious Assault, Blood Eagle, Avalok Sage, Nilfgaard, and Justice will now properly show a shuffled version of the deck instead of listing cards in order. So I don't think most people picked up on that this was broken. So think about that. You Amphibious Assaulted and looked at your deck while you're picking a card. If you used Amphibious Assault in round 1, you could now see the order of your cards and realize, okay, well, I have 5 mulligans next round. What's my 3 cards and my 2 mulligans look like? And if you realize that your 2 mulligans look like crap, you know not to mulligan. So, very interested on how that was broken. I don't think most people knew that was broken, but that's what that meant about the case there. Let's see. The Veteran Officer Tooltip was harmonized with other similar tooltips. Erdan will now correctly increase the damage dealt by Frost, which, yeah, he was busted. Defender is now correctly referred to as tooltip. Units with bounty stats will now grant coins correctly only when destroyed. I didn't know there was an issue there. Master Mirror now correctly transfer cards that are able to interact with the deck, such as Oneiromancy. So let's see. Oh, he didn't transfer from those cards, huh? Okay. Cantrell is now able to play trap cards. That's certainly nice. Icons and Reward book tab should now always be shown correctly. So there is our patch notes for us. So back in game here, and let's check out the shop here. So card kegs here. Turn myself off for a quick second. Ultimate kegs and premium kegs, which are everything in the game. I do believe those should include the new expansion. So then you've got faction kegs, which obviously have the new neutral kegs. Certainly nice there. You know, so if you want to get faction selective when you're trying to build your deck, these will certainly be nice. And then set kegs. You know, they removed all the other sets, which would be the old expansion, which I'm fine with. I think any new player coming in really isn't interested in trying to grab kegs by expansions that they weren't part of. And if you want to fill out missing cards, I think this factions are the best way to do it. So I think all that looks certainly good. Meteor power, which is nice, you know, able to gift that, you know, especially as a streamer. It'll be nice to be able to gift things to the community for their support, so that'll be really, really nice. I still wish that they would find a way to, if you own something, to recognize that you own it, because I own that. Like, you know, I don't, there's a chance I could waste powder on it, so you almost gotta like check on what you own. I own Shoot. I own this card back, you know, which is a fantastic card back. But I wish they could be better about that. Good bundles. I like they always do stuff with Meteor Power. We've got plenty for that. And then, so they got the Santa Cratch. Or I do like. I'm gonna have to get that. I'm not familiar with who this is. Ardal's Grant. Yeah. I don't know the lore. I feel like I know the lore pretty well, but man. And then last, they're gonna do packs, which again, certainly nice there to Witcher pack, the Yule Celebration pack, and then again, if you're new, these are what you know, if you want to spend some money in the game and you're new, these are really nice starter packs. The Ultimate Keg, which they, you know, again, they still have, funny that they still have that they've done the Ultimate Starter Cat. I think the Ultimate Starter Pack should be, you know, the each of the faction ones. So, interesting on that. So, anyway, the one thing I really want to check out is the reward book. Because I feel like in Master Mirror, the one thing I'll say, not to be super critical, but I felt like they did a half-assed job on Master Mirror. You know, the fact that they have not added this up yet is kind of like, please add some stuff in. So now you finally see the Way of the Witcher getting added in, quite like that. So, if hopefully we see, I'm surprised that they didn't add this in at any point during the Master Mirror option, but that'd be my ass. Get, you know, especially, so they technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they owe 5 more around Master Mirror for sure. Well, what do you say? I'll tell you what. I'll do a keg opening here. We'll open up some kegs and see what I got.
Smash, smash.
So let's open up the premiums first. So I'm gonna open up, yeah. Oh, nice to see all that I don't own. We gotta go Northern Realms. Like, it just has to happen, right? Man, to see these premium. Gotta go with my Northern Realm boys. Interesting. Oh, which... Oh, well. Can't know, right? Good looking card, though. Hell yeah, we're gonna do it. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Alright. Yeah, getting some good looking cards. Okay, we're gonna... Should have plenty of meteorite power after it's all said and done.
Crack, smash. Goody.
Gotta go Northern Realms. Gotta get all the Northern Realms ones first.
That we know how.
Man, these premiums do look fantastic, though.
Shiny.
Yeah, buddy. These premiums look fantastic.
Happy pack.
I was trying to go higher provisions.
Whack, bang, wow. That we know how. Razzies.
Oh man, look at the... God. I mean, hopefully we'll get them all, but man, these cards look fantastic.
Battle now is trash. Goody.
Look at this thing. Oh my god. So we'll try to cruise through this.
Whack, bang, wow! That me know how!
We have 6. Okay, yeah, now we're gonna probably start getting all premiums. We need new cards. You don't want to see premium cards of cards you already own all of them. Isn't good. There we go. Gosh, beautiful card. I mean, we have 3 of them already. Beautiful card.
Bang, wow! That me know how?
Set. Yeesh.
Goody! Crack! Smash!
We have enough scrap to buy everything, but I'm wondering if these kegs will be enough.
Mash, bash, me barrel thrash! One bang, smash!
Hopefully we get our collection completely completed. It would be nice to be set up. And 75 cards, I think. Still a lot to get through.
One bang, smash! Barrel now is trash!
There we go. This card, look at that. He's like looking at the. Bitch, my wife's here. What you? Get new cards. Go.
One bang,
Card art is beautiful.
now is trash.
Okay, now we're into the non-premium cards. Yeah, so let's. Oh, here we go. Man, we missed all of these? Oh, we missed a lot too. And we didn't get too many golds in our premium.
One bang, smash! Barrel now is trash. Whack, bang, wow! That me know how?
So we'll have probably one base. That's my goal, actually. I'm building out my premium. I want to have all the base cards and all the premium cards. So I'm not converting anything that's non-premium over. I'm crafting it all. So I have a completely full set.
Shiny.
We gotta get the red rat.
One bang, smash! Barrel now is trash. Turtle. Whack, bang, wow! That me know how?
You gotta take the premium, right? Well, we got. It's the one part where it probably won't pick premiums. Gotta get cards in.
Crack! Smash! Goody!
I think we're doing pretty good.
Mash, bash, me
Go build out. Almost done here. There we go. Catching cards that we don't have. That's always nice. We should have enough scrap to build probably whatever we need. Especially after we're done here.
One bang splash! Battle now is trash!
I just love the colors. I mean... Yeah. Well, there is our card keg opening. We've got new reward books, all those pieces.
Nature.
Happy expansion day. Really hope you guys enjoy the new expansion. Again, hopefully nothing is OP or broken, you know, like we saw with Skellige Warriors. Hopefully there's a good balance in the patches and everything in this new expansion is as good as we hope it could be. I'm sure some balance will need to happen, but I'm really, really excited. So go forth and enjoy the expansion.